Welcome to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and former therapist with a background in counseling psychology. This podcast is for strong, high-achieving women who want more in their lives and relationships, who are ready to rise to the next level of growth, healing, and evolution. Nothing changes until you change. And when you change, everything else changes around you as a result. If you're done with feeling powerless within the chaotic and toxic dynamics in your relationship and don't even know where to begin with making changes, I've got you covered. I know you've tried everything, including counseling, watching hours of videos, and reading stacks of books on narcissism, and find that all it does is leave you feeling even more stuck and in the same place. None of these things work when you're living with a narcissistic spouse because the root causes of the symptoms are not being addressed. As with physical health, there is an emotional, physical, spiritual, and psychological component to healing and overcoming the problematic symptoms and pain you're facing every day in your life and relationship. If you're ready for a direct, no fluff, no nonsense approach to take you into your personal power and take back your life, you are in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode. In this episode, we're chatting about being ready. This is a huge thing that I hear from so many women when I'm chatting with them or I'm chatting with them in DMs or even when I'm working with them and they're working through the program. It's this idea and this thing that we tell ourselves that we're not ready. And here's the thing about what we tell ourselves. The more you tell yourself something over and over and over again, it becomes a belief that becomes your reality. So the more I repeat something about, I'm so tired, I'm sick, I'm stuck, I'm exhausted, I'm not ready, I can't, I'm too scared. The more that we repeat that into our subconscious and it imprints in our subconscious, the more that becomes our reality. So if we're taking something on repeat that we are telling ourselves, it is sure to be something that is in our reality. When we're talking about I'm not ready, it's important to recognize that there probably is no such thing as fully ready. There's no such thing as 100% clear, ready, having no fear, having no doubt, having no hesitation. It's more of not being willing. So this is something that I learned early on in my counseling education when I became a registered professional counselor. That is what my background is in, but I did that for about 6 years before I moved everything online and just moved into coaching. So I have that background of counseling psychology, which I use in my work. So I'm so grateful I have it. But it's this getting the client, so you, not so much that you're ready to completely overhaul every single area of your life and look at every single thing you have to change. It's that you have to have a willingness to want to. You have to have a willingness and openness to want to learn new ways, to want to get out of the same old sick and tired, exhausting patterns that you're in. So all you need is a willingness. This also goes back to, I also have my level 1 and 2 Reiki certifications. So for a while I was really immersed in energy healing and wanted to learn every single thing about it. And I did some healing sessions within my counseling and coaching practice locally. And I used it on myself and my kids and all of that, and was really, really into the energy of things. And one of the things that I was taught when I was being trained in this is that it is almost near impossible that someone's going to experience any type of healing or energetic shift if they come in closed-minded and believing it's not going to work, or having negative beliefs that it's silly or whatever. And so what we were taught to do was to ask the person we were going to work with is just to have an openness and a willingness. And is that there for them? Like, are they willing? Even though they might have some hesitation and some reservations, are you willing? So it goes back to the willingness. So you don't have to be fully ready to do everything. And this is what I think women get the idea around, like, change or getting out of a toxic relationship that you feel like you can't get out of. You don't have to be 100% clear. You don't have to be 100% ready to start taking some steps. You just have to be willing. And you have to realize that you have to do it yourself, that no one else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is coming to save you. Nobody else is going to hold your hand and fix your life for you. No one is coming to save you. So if that's true, then what? Are you willing to keep doing what you've been doing for this coming year, for 2024, for 2025, and so on? Because the longer that you stay, the sicker you get, the weaker you get, the more your mental health declines. And so you're waiting to be ready. And in that meantime, what are you doing? Waiting to be ready. Like, what is that for you? How will you know that you're ready? And how are you changing what you're doing now to be able to get to ready, whatever ready is? Right? It's a way we keep ourselves trapped to say, I'm waiting to be ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to leave. I'm not ready to make that decision. I'm not ready to blow up my family. I'm not ready to get a divorce, all of that. You don't have to be ready for that, but you have to be ready for change. And that's especially true if you come into the End the Cycle program. You do have to be at a place of readiness, so to speak, that you're willing, because you're so sick and tired of the way that it is right now that you will literally do anything, no matter how scary, to get out of this situation. And that's where I see women that come in and just move mountains in the program, is they're at that place. So if you're not there and you're still stuck in this complacency of not really wanting to do anything, not wanting to look at changing yourself, not willing to take the steps to really change your life, then you're going to stay where you are. And if you keep telling yourself you're waiting to be ready, that may never come. If you keep moving the goalpost of, I will do something when he gets his bonus, I get my bonus, I get a job, I buy a car, I get, my kids are graduated, my kids have moved out. Like, it keeps moving. The goalpost keeps moving. So if you're finding that with your situation and you're feeling like you need to leave, but you just feel frozen and you're not able to actually do anything, this is where I don't have to be ready to do the step. I don't have to be ready to pack everything and move out right now, because that's not realistic. And that's what I teach is, I'm not here to tell you need to get out and leave tomorrow. But what I am telling you is, if you want to change, you need to be open and willing. And I believe the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I like to see it as, when the student is willing, the correct teacher appears. And that comes in many forms. So when we're willing, we're just willing. It's like, when I think of willing, I think of like our hands are open, just kind of like willing to receive whatever is going to come. But when we're waiting to be ready and we are clenched and we have tight fists and we're frozen in place and we're not able to do anything, then we stay stuck. We stay in the same reality, nothing changes, and it just continues to get worse. So with willingness, the right teachers show up. You'll start seeing it. People will come along. You'll see something on social media. A book will fall into your lap. Someone will say something a certain way. A podcast will fall into your lap. Perhaps it's this one, or something I'm saying might be clicking. It's when you are willing, those types of things start to show up, those synchronicities, those what we call quote unquote coincidences. They are, I believe, messages, and they come through people. They come through the internet sometimes. They come through social media. They come through books. They come through podcasts or blogs or whatever, right? Especially these days with so many things being online at our fingertips. Have you ever had that experience where something felt like it just landed in your lap at the exact time that you needed it? And I know that I've seen that happen in my life. I've had it happen so many times. It's so hard to just rationalize that, right? And when that has happened, it has been for sure when I have been in an active state of willingness, surrender, working on my emotional state, doing things that keep my mental health well, doing things that keep my physical health well and my emotional health well, so that I'm in a good state energetically to bring in those experiences. So when we feel like shit and we feel like crap and we're telling ourselves, I'm not ready, I'm stuck, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that, on repeat, that will continue to be your reality. And then you find just more and more things come into play that affirm that. So think about that for your life right now. Whatever you have right now is that energetic match for your state. So this is a little different than things that I share on the podcast typically. I don't share a lot of my own personal woo stuff that I believe and practice behind the scenes, my magic and rituals and all that stuff, right? But I wanted to share a little bit more of like who I am in this and like what I have had to do to overcome the insurmountable things that have happened in my life and that have continued to happen in my life over the last couple of years that felt like I was going to break or that I was drowning or that I couldn't keep doing what I was doing. It's these practices, it's the growth work, it's getting back to the practices that we can lose sight of when life hits the fan. Right? Over this last 2 years, I did definitely fall away from a lot of my spiritual practices and listening to spiritual material and was just very much swept away in the chaos of life. And I know that when that's happening and things are not working in my favor, that it's because I have not been connected with myself or connected with my inner space. I do believe there's a purpose to everything in my life. I do believe that. Even if it's awful, I do believe that these things are here to teach us if we're willing to learn from them. Yeah, some horrible things happen. It's pretty hard to say everything happens for a reason. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we can choose to believe that everything has a purpose. We can choose to believe that everyone that comes into our lives are teachers, that they're everywhere. Whoever that person is, if it's for a day, for an afternoon, a moment, or decades, that they all come into our lives to teach us something if we are willing to see it that way. And that's the key, right? If we are not willing to see it that way, then we see it as they are this, they are that, I'm the victim, I keep attracting this stuff into my life and these asshole men or whatever, abusive men, and I have no power in that. Well, that right there is what keeps you stuck. So the message of today that I want you to take out of this is just be willing. You don't have to be ready to blow up your entire life right now. You don't have to be ready to actually leave. What you do need to have is a willingness to learn, a willingness to be led, a willingness to do things differently and be guided, even if you're terrified. Even if the idea makes you feel like you're going to throw up, the idea of getting out of this situation, or you feel like you can't, that's when the willingness, hey, I recognize there is this going on. We talked about this with the black and white thinking, right? In the previous episode, is I'm not ready to make that choice. However, there's this other part of me that's willing to learn. So which part of me am I going to lean into? The fear or the willingness to overcome that, the willingness to go through the fear anyways, the willingness to learn new ways. So I hope that helps you today. Maybe it's the shift that you need to have to really release the heaviness around, I'm not ready, I don't have the clarity, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, I'm frozen, I'm stuck. Like if you have those thought forms going around and around and around in your head, believe me, that is your reality. And I bet you can see that for yourself. That is your reality. So what we need to do is go in and go deeper into shifting those thought forms and those unconscious patterns that you're probably not even aware of. And that is the work that we do in my program and the cycle. It's what I do in my coaching. And if you're ready to take that next level, that next step, head to the link in the show notes to sign up for my upcoming live class, Breaking the Toxic Bond of Narcissistic Power and Control. And you'll also be notified when I'm going live inside of our private Facebook group, which I will be doing during this time to help you integrate the lessons that I'm teaching in the class. So if you want to sign up for that, head to the link in the show notes or leanneoten.com/breaking the bond. And I'll see you online. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning in to this edition of the Awakening Women podcast. If you love this episode, please take a moment to share it and leave a 5-star rating and review. If you're ready to take your next step, head to the link in the show notes to sign up for my latest free class. Also, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Awakening Women Official and join the conversation. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again in the next episode. Take care of yourself in the meantime, and I'll see you online.